Hi everyone, I'm Angela from Chatty2, Art Kits and Classes for Kids, and I've been asked by Cork City Library to put together some videos of arts and crafts you can do for Christmas. So here we go. You're going to need the following things. So you're going to need a scissors. You're going to need 2 sheets of white paper, like regular printer paper that you'll have at home. A piece of card. It doesn't matter where you get the card. Maybe it's the inside of a shoebox, or maybe something you got for Christmas and there's some cardboard at the back. Or if you have coloured card, that's cool too. You're going to need either crayons or markers or possibly colouring pencils for this as well, okay? You might need a pencil if you want to try stuff out first before colouring it in with the markers. You're going to need 2 of these guys, the toilet roll holders, 2 of those. I'm sure you've got lots of these in the recycling. And that is it. So what we're going to make today is this really cool centrepiece for Christmas Day, and it's your snowman. It's a centrepiece snowman made from toilet roll holders. And that is what we're going to do today. So just before we get started, I'm going to go through what you need one more time, just to give you enough time to get back to your creation stations, okay? So we're going to need a scissors. We're going to need 2 sheets of white printer paper, a piece of card, doesn't matter if it's coloured card or the back of a box, 2 toilet roll holders, your markers or colouring pencils or crayons. Oh, and we're also going to need some glue. Now, if you've got a glue stick, it's probably better than using the PVA glue. It's just a little bit neater. But if you don't, that's okay too. You can also use sellotape if you're really stuck. Okay? So we're going to get started. So first, what we're going to do is we need to make these guys white. So what we're going to do is just take a piece of our printer paper. I'm going to put glue in a strip down one side here. Just glue. Now, I've got a rule about glue. I hate when people are mean with glue. Don't be mean with the glue, because then it undoes all of the lovely artwork you've had to do and you end up having to redo it a second time. So if you can see the glue on the paper, that's enough glue. If you can't, that isn't enough glue. Go again, okay? So I'm going to take my cardboard toilet roll holder and I'm just going to stick it on to the paper here. And all I'm going to do is roll it, okay? So roll the paper on, just to make it lovely and white. And we're going to do more glue here and seal it, okay? So remember what I said, lots and lots of glue. And I'll be doing this again a second time, guys, so don't worry if you missed that, okay? And it's all about take your own time. You can always rewind the video if you're a little bit stuck, okay? So we're going to do that one more time, okay? So with my second one, you're going to do it twice, once for each toilet roll holder. So I'm going to do my glue again along the side and one side. Okay, lots of glue. Make sure if it looks wet or shiny, you have enough glue on it. And I'm just going to pop my toilet roll in the middle like this. Okay, and just roll it. Okay, so I'm rolling, I'm rolling, I'm rolling. So just to make sure it's lovely and white and all covered up. I'm putting a little bit of glue on the other side again. Or as I said, you can use sellotape if you have to. If you don't have glue at home, that's okay. So look, I've now got 2 toilet rolls that are white. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to tuck in the sides of the paper so we make the whole thing look white, okay? So what I'm going to do for this is a little trick. We're just going to take our scissors and we're going to do 4 little slits. So we're going to cut into the paper here, okay? And just cut down as far as the card if you can. 3 and 1 more, 4, okay? So we're going to do 4 of those. So you've got 4 little slits and you're just going to tuck in that paper by pushing it in to the cardboard holder, okay? And no need to glue or anything like that. It stays in there, okay? So we're going to do exactly the same thing on the other side. So we're going to get our scissors. We are going to just make 4 little slits. And this just helps it not to be all bunched up and stuff like that. So it makes it look a little bit neater, that's all. That's a trick to when you're even wrapping something that's this shape. You can do that, okay? And so I've tucked the 4 sides in like this, tucked all of the sides in, all right? And we're going to go again with our other one. We're going to do exactly the same thing with the second holder. So we're just going to go all the way down. We're going to cut, okay? And we're going to do that 4 times. This is the third one and number 4, okay? And again, just tucking that in, tuck it into bed all the way around. And one last time, I'm sure you're going to be experts at this bit, 4 slits. So 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? Now, I'm calling them centerpieces. You could put them in the middle of the Christmas table just to decorate it up a bit. Don't put it with candles though, because it's made out of paper. But in America, they use a lot of what they call dioramas, and they make centerpieces out of cardboard and paper for Thanksgiving, which is a celebration they have at the end of November. So that's where I got the idea for this one. You could do this lovely centerpiece in the middle of the table. Okay, or you could just have it as an ornament. It's cool. All right, so now we've got 2 pieces of white tubes now. And what we're going to do is we're just going to take the second one and we're going to cut it in half. Okay, and how we're going to do that was just going to squish it a little bit. Just going to squish it a little teeny bit, okay? And we're going to use your scissors. Now, I've gone about halfway down. Now, this is hard, so you might need a little bit of help from your mums or dads or big brothers and sisters or whoever's there just to do this one. It's difficult to cut it because it's a lot of card, okay? So that is what I'm left with. So I've just cut it in half, okay? Like that. All right, I've cut that in half. So one half of this is going to be your top hat, and the other half is his face, okay? So I'm going to just do the face on one side. I'm going to put that top hat over to one side for a moment. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my card next, and I'm just going to start assembling my snowman, okay? So I'm going to take the bigger one, and I'm just going to put a lot of glue on the bottom. Now, what I do is I choose the side that has the join on it. So we're just going to hide that part. So I'm going to put the glue over that part, and a lot of glue again for this, guys, because it's something, a circular shape or a tube shape, so it's a little bit hard to stick, okay? So lots and lots of glue on that. And I'm just going to stick it into the center of my piece of card. And I've just chosen a green piece of card here because it's a nice bright color. It's kind of a Christmassy color, isn't it? So I chose that color. So I've just stuck it on, and you might just want to hold it for a few seconds. So if you sing a verse, a happy birthday or something, just until it sticks. So I'm just holding it on, pushing it on here, and I've squashed it on a little bit. I've kind of made it a bit more round, a little bit more oval shape, sorry. And what I'm going to do now with the next part is I'm going to just glue on the head, okay? And I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to choose the side that has the line for where I stuck the paper together, and I'm going to put the glue on that section to stick on the top, okay? So again, don't be mean with the glue, lots and lots and lots of glue. Off we go. It's cool. I can't wait to show you, to see these, guys. If you wanted to send pictures into the library, or you can always email them to me. I love to see people's artwork. It's fabulous, and they'll be really bright and colourful, and I think it really cheers people up to see artwork, especially at Christmas time. It's really nice. And there'll be 4 of these videos up, so if you haven't seen the other 3 videos, check those out on the Cork City Library's website for the month of December. So they're free classes, and anyone can log on and just look at them. So if you're watching us from a craft fair, or if you're watching us from at home or whatever, you can log into the Cork City Library's website and check out those videos, okay? And they have some amazing things on throughout the year, so you should really keep an eye on your website and your local library. Okay, so this is my snowman. So I've stuck on the head onto the body, and he is ready to go and decorate. So we're just going to put him to one side. So I'm just going to recap what we've done so far for those of you who are trying to catch up. So we've taken 2 of our toilet roll holders, and what we've done is we've taken our white sheet of paper, glued down one side, popped on the toilet roll in the center, and just rolled it all the way down to make it white. More glue at the end, and then glue that together, okay? Then we've taken our scissors and we've done 4 slits on each side, and just tucked in those pieces of paper inside the tubes, as you can see here. That's what we've done, okay? Then what we've done is we take our second one, we do exactly the same thing a second time, and then we kind of squashed it a little bit to make it easier to cut with the scissors, and just cut it in half, okay? Now, if you wanted to, you could cut it in half before covering with paper, if you like, and then you don't have the brown bit at one side. But you know what? I actually don't mind having mine like that. So it's up to you. It's your design. Do whatever you think is more convenient and what's easier for you, okay? So then what we've done is we've taken our 2 pieces of toilet roll holders, or our snowman body and our snowman head. And we've just glued it onto a piece of card. It could be any card at all that you have lying around at home. Card is better than paper because card is heavier and it won't topple over, okay? So that's what we've done with that. We've glued on the tube into the center and the smaller one for the head on top of that, okay? So that's where we are and you're all caught up. So what we're going to do next is we're going to make the accessories for our snowman, okay? So I've given him a scarf, I've given him some twigs for arms, and I've given him a top hat here, okay? So we're going to make the top hat. That's the most difficult part to do. And what we're going to do is we're going to use the other side of the toilet roll that you cut in half. You used half for the head and half for the top hat. And what I'm going to do is I am just going to use, actually, you might need another piece of paper. I'm just thinking of that, maybe 3 pieces of paper to start. So if you have another piece of paper, you can do this. If you don't, you could just use this as the hat on its own. You can use a piece of card or any other things that you have at home, any paper, wrapping paper, and you can just give him maybe a beanie hat. You can stick things onto the front. They don't have to be the whole way around. You can use things that you have at home or lying around at Christmas, like wrapping paper. You can use, you know, anything, the boxes of stuff that you've opened for Christmas or tins of biscuits, anything like that. Sweet wrappers are another cool thing that you can stick on and use as stuff. So keep an eye on your recycling bin before things go into the bin. You say, I think I can use that for arts and crafts. We're all about reusing things here at Chatty 2, okay? So I'm going to use this as kind of a stencil at the moment. So I'm going to pop it down on another piece of paper and I'm just going to take my pencil and I'm going to draw around it. And I'll show you there now. It's easier for me to just do it on the table and then show you what I mean. Okay, so I've just popped it down on top of it and drawn around it. Okay, now it's not a perfect circle, but that's okay because when I cut it, I'll make it one. All right, and then what we're going to do is I'm going to draw another circle around that. Okay, so a wider one on the outside. And again, guys, this does not have to be perfect at all. This is just for the brim of the hat, the whole way around here. It just needs to be wider than the actual hat, and that is it. Okay, so it kind of looks like a dodgy fried egg with the yolk in the middle. Okay, and what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to make my top hat black. So I'm going to take my black marker and just colour in the outside of it here. Okay, so I'm just going to colour away here, guys. And you can do the same or you can be catching up. And as I said at the start of the video, if you're running out of time or you're a bit slower than I am, that's fine. I've had lots of practice. I've made these before. And I have to get everything done in the 40 minutes of the class. But you guys can always pause the video and go back and look at it again. So don't worry if you're not as fast as I am. And you may be faster than me, who knows? So I'm just really quickly here colouring this in, and I'm sure yours are going to be much neater than mine because I'm really rushing my ones, okay? And when you're doing stuff like this, because you're cutting it out, you can go outside the lines, because when you cut it out, no one's going to know that you went outside the lines. And my goodness, have I gone outside the lines here? Wait till I show you what I mean. I've really gone outside the lines here. So look, very much outside the lines. If I was giving it a prize for colouring in the lines, I would not be awarded a prize. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to cut that out. And of course, I'm going to cut around it into a circle so no one will ever know that I coloured outside the lines. It'll be our little secret, okay? So I'm just going to cut that out. And guys, when I'm cutting stuff out, I like to cut things out roughly first, like this, okay? Because it's easier to cut out things that don't have another big, huge piece of paper hanging off it. So get rid of this part, put it to the side for the moment. We'll use the rest of it for the top of the top hat and the scarf and arms in a minute. And it's just much neater and easier to cut a small section, okay? Especially when you've got smaller hands. So that is going to be the base of my top hat, okay? Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the top. So the right at the top of the top hat, this bit here. And we're just going to do exactly the same thing as we did with the rim of the hat. We're going to take our tube, we're going to pop it down on the paper and draw around it again. So we're going to do that again. So I'm going to take my pencil or my marker and just going to draw around it like this in a circle. And it doesn't matter, guys, if you're getting black or paint or pencil on the tube itself, because you'll be colouring that or painting that or doing whatever you want to that later as well, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to colour this in and I'm going to do that black as well. Now, guys, just because I've chosen black doesn't mean you guys have to choose black. You can choose whatever colour you like. It's your design, your snowman, your centrepiece. So anything you like, anything goes, as they say. So you can do whatever colour. If you wanted to do nice bright top hats, like red ones or green ones, Christmassy colours, or maybe blue to make it look more like Frozen or anything like that, you can do that, okay? I just like the traditional ones with the black top hats. I think they're lovely. They look like something from a Christmas carol. Now, so I've coloured that in. Again, didn't stay within the lines. And I'm going to cut that out, and I'm going to just cut it out roughly again. Just going to cut out a square like that out of the paper. Put this to the side and just cut this out again, okay? So just to recap what we did, guys, for the hat. The piece of tube that you cut off earlier that you're using for the hat, just pop it down on a white sheet of paper. Or if you have a coloured sheet of paper, it stops you having to do any colouring. So that's great. And I've just drawn around it in a circle, the one in the centre here. And then I drew a bigger circle around it to be the rim of the hat, the outside of the hat, okay? And then I coloured in the rim part because you're not going to see the middle. We're going to stick the hat on top of that. No need doing loads of work when you're not going to see it. And that, we've cut that out, okay? And we cut it out roughly first, and then we made it neater. Then we did it a second time. So you popped the cardboard tube on top of the paper, drew around it again, coloured that in because that's going to be the top of the hat, and cut that out. And we've got our 3 pieces for the hat now. The rim, the top of it, and the actual main part of the hat. What we're going to do now is we're going to colour in the main part of the hat. And I find it's easier if you put your hand inside the tube and just colour like this, okay? Like that. So I'm going to colour that away here now, guys, while you're catching up. I hope you guys are as excited as I am about Santa coming this year. I know that he'll be very excited being able to visit people and see people after being stuck up in the North Pole and in isolation for months and months. Poor Santa. I hope you're going to get lovely things, guys, and I'm sure everyone's going to have a lovely Christmas. Now, as I said, yours is probably a lot more neat than mine, a lot neater than mine is. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to glue this part onto the rim part of the hat, okay? Actually, yes, I am. I had a thought there for a second, but I'm just going to put lots of glue in a circle on this, okay? So I kind of went around the circle, the original circle, but you know what? If you put it all over it in the middle, making sure you've loads of glue, that's fine too. And I'm just going to pop this on here, making sure all the white sections are covered, and I'm just going to hold it on for a second, all right? Just to make sure it's really glued on there, because the next tricky part is putting the hat on the head, okay? So I'm just going to make sure that's really stuck. And while that's sticking, I'm going to stick on the top of the top hat. So I'm going to again put lots of glue on it, around, make sure it's around the edge, because that's where it'll be sticking to the toilet roll, and just moving it around here, so making sure that it sticks on properly, and just tap it on like this. And you can just hold that on with your fingers again for a few seconds or a few minutes, just to make sure it's really stuck on, okay? And don't be too heavy with it, because if you press in the center, it's just going to go sinking into the middle of it. So we're just holding it like this, okay? And I think that's a really cool top hat. It's a very cool little thing for our snowman, okay? So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put this to the side for 1 minute and let the glue dry. And I'm going to make some of the other parts for our snowman. I'm going to use my paper again, and I'm going to give him twigs for arms. Now, you do not have to give him twigs for arms. You don't even have to give him arms if you don't want to. This is just a suggestion. So if you want to follow me, that's cool. If you don't, you can do your own thing. Okay, so I'm just going to draw some twigs. And what I'm going to do is the letter Y. And I'm just going to do the letter Y like this twice. Okay. And what I'm going to do then is I'm just going to make the letter, the lines in the letter a bit thicker. That's all. Just going over them a few times, just to make them a bit thicker so they'll stick up, okay? And again, I'm just going to make that line a little thicker here, and this one a little thicker here. So these are my hands, all right? So I've just done 2 of those, 1 for each side, 2 Ys, and I'm going to cut those out now. And I'm going to do that roughly again. I'm going to cut it out roughly, just to start off with. And then we'll get neater again after that, like the last time. And I mind your fingers when you're cutting out something small, guys. We don't want you chopping off your fingers right before Christmas, because then you wouldn't have any fingers left to open your presents, and that would be really bad. Okay, so we're going to go again here, and I'm going to just cut these out, and being as careful as I can not to hurt my hands. And again, I'm just going to roughly cut this one out, and we will have a pair of twig arms, okay? So that's my second twig arm. There we go. Right, so I'm going to pop that down to the side. So I've got my top hat and my twig arms ready to go. So we all know that there were 3 parts of the top hat. There's the top, the center part, which is the tube, and the brim of it. So we did those, we coloured all those in. And then what we did for the arms, the twigs, is we did 2 letter Ys. can see those, and we just colour them in and cut them out, okay? And now little bits of mine are white, so I'm just going to colour them, fix them a little bit here now and stick those on, okay? So I have those ready to go. The last thing I want to make, two more things I want to make. I want to make the scarf, and I want to make, I'm going to do some holly in his hat. So I'm going to take my paper again, and I'm just going to draw a long rectangle, okay? So I'm going to show you here now, a long rectangle. Very tall rectangle, okay? Like that. That's what I'm going to do. Tall rectangle. And then I'm going to do a little pattern or design on it. I'm just going to do some squiggles, I think, or some uppy downies. What are they called? Zigzags, that's it. Not uppy downies, Angela, that was silly. All the way across, all the way down it. And again, these don't have to be even, guys, at all. So look, mine is a bit messy because I've done it really quick, but along the lines of that. But you can do any design you want on the scarf. This is the one I'm doing here. If you can kind of see it. And I'm going to colour it in, and I'm going to do green and red. So I'm going to do the first row red and the second row green. I'm going to keep going like that every second row. And again, because it's not cut out yet, I can go outside the lines and colour quickly. But as I said, take your time, do your thing, do whatever you need to do. I'm sure your creations are going to be fabulous, much nicer than mine, and really cheer people up, okay? So off we go again. We're going to do, I'm on my third red one now. I'm going to do my last red one, and then I'm going to move on to my green zigzag stripes, okay? And I'm sure you guys are flying it here along with me, so I won't need to slow down or anything for you guys. And I'm going to move on to my green ones now. And here we go. So I'm moving on to my green. I've got my reds done. I'm moving on to my green ones, okay? And I'm going to go my second one. And when we cut this out, we're going to do a little trick to make the ends of the scarf look like they're tassels, or those pieces, you know, the little bits that look like they've been cut on the end of a scarf. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And I'm going to show you how to put on all the pieces in a second. We'll just make the scarf. And after we've cut out the scarf and finished the scarf off, I'll show you how to do the holly for the decoration in the hat. But again, you don't have to do that. It's just your design. Now I'm going to cut out my scarf, okay? And I'm going to again cut it out roughly first, just to give me less paper to fiddle with. Ta-da! And I'm just going to cut this out, okay? And I'm going to try and be as neat as I can when I cut this out, and I can get rid of all the little sections where I went outside the lines, all right? And I'm going to just cut off the other side here. Now, here's another trick. What I'm actually going to do now is I'm going to cut this in half, okay? I'm going to fold it over, and I'm going to just cut it in half like this, okay? Because we're not actually going to go around the whole neck of the snowman. We're going to colour in a piece up here to make it look like the scarf, and we're going to stick on the two separate pieces to make them stick out, make them 3D as well. So at the ends of my scarf, I'm just going to take my scissors, and I'm just going to do little tiny slits here. Just little cuts, okay? Like that. So I've done little cuts like that. You can see them? All right, I'll do that again with the other side. So I'm going to take my scarf, and I'm just going to do little cuts on it like this. Okay, so little snips, little snips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little snips I've done. All right. Yeah, and then you can make them stand out like this to make it look like it's windy. All right. So there are my two pieces of my scarf. Now the last piece we've got to make is the piece of holly for his hat. Now holly is kind of tricky to draw, but I'll show you how to do it. I'm going to do it much bigger than I need it here for you so you can see, okay? So when I'm doing holly, I do a smile like that, okay? And another smile onto it, and then another smile. Okay, so that's one side of my holly. So I started off with 1 smile, 2 smiles, 3 smiles, okay? Then I'm going to turn the paper upside down and do the same thing again, but I'm going to start here. I'm going to join it to that one, okay? So I'm going to do smile, 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 like that, okay? So we started with this one. We did smile, smile, smile. And I turned it upside down, and we started with this one, smile, 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 okay? Or you can join these two together. It's up to yourself, All right, so that's what I'm going to do on my bigger piece of paper in the size that I wanted, which is much smaller. So I'm going to do smile, 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 and again, turn my page upside down and smile, 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 okay? So that's my little piece of holly. And I'm going to do berries in the middle and another holly on the other side. Okay, so for the berries, I'm just going to do some circles, and I'm going to do them red. And I'm going to do smile, smile, smile again. Turn my paper the other way. Smile, smile, smile. Okay, there you go. Now, I've done lots of berries and 2 pieces of holly. Okay, and you can see the one I made earlier as well for his hat. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to colour that in and I'm going to cut that out, and then I have all my pieces ready to go, and like a jigsaw puzzle, we'll put it all together and we'll be done in no time. So I'm taking my green marker and I'm colouring in the leaves of my holly, and I'm going to take my red marker and colour in the berries. Now, if you decide to do mistletoe instead, which is the white berries, or you might decide to do a bow in his hat, or whatever you like, you can do in his hat. There's no problem. All right, I'm going to cut that out really roughly again, and this is going to be very tricky to cut out because it's so small, it's tiny. So really take your time. Do not chop your fingers off. Okay, so off we go again, especially if you're not using a kid's safety scissors. If you're using your mum and dad's one, you may need some help with the cutting. But again, it depends how old you are. It depends what kind of scissors you have, okay? But there's never any problems asking for help. People don't mind. And off we go. So I've got the top of one cut out. I'm onto the second part, like that. Okay. And then what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to decorate the snowman. We're going to give him a face. We're going to finish his scarf. We're going to stick all the pieces on, and then voila, you're done. Okay. So off we go again. This one is hard to cut out, okay? And I'm trying not to cut my fingers, but I'm also trying not to ruin it. But you know what? That's what sellotape is for, or glue. So if you do cut it up by accident, you can always use a bit of glue to fix it, or do it again. There's no problem. There's never any panic. You should never panic about art. Some of the best pieces of art were made by accident. So there we go. And here we are. And I'm going to do the last part here now, and that's my holly done. So my holly is all cut out and ready to go. Okay, it's really cute. Put it in my hair. Okay, so I've got my top hat ready to go. I've got my pieces of my scarf ready to go. I've got my holly ready to go, and I have my 2 twigs for arms ready to go. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to just do his face. Okay, and I'm going to take my black marker and I'm going to give him 2 pieces of coal for eyes. Now this is easier if you leave it on the table to do, okay? So I have to do mine in the air so you guys can see. So I'm just going to do 2 eyes, 2 little coal eyes like this, like that. Okay. And I'm just going to give him a smile. And I'm going to kind of give him a half smile. Again, a friendly one, like that. He's doing, hey, like that. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give him a carrot for a nose, guys. And I'm just going to draw a triangle out to one side. Okay. Like that. Very simple, just a triangle. And I'm going to colour it in orange because that's the colour of carrots. That's what I'm going to do. And this is the only time I'm going to be really neat, I think, with my colouring today. So I'm just going to try and stay within the lines here. And if you want the carrot to look rounded, like it's a tube shape, like the shape of it, you can just give it some black lines on the top to make it look like it's circular. And that's a little trick. That's a little art trick. Okay. Makes it look more rounded. Okay. So that's his face done. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my green marker and give him the rest of his scarf. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw a semicircle from one side of his neck all the way over to the other side like that. And I'm going to colour it in, but I'm going to do the same pattern as the bits that I've already done. So I'm going to do 2 zigzags. I'm going to do green on this side here like that. Okay. This. And I'm going to do green on the other side over here and red in the middle, okay? All right, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put my green marker away now and get my red out. Okay, And I'm going to do the red in the middle. Now, you're not going to see all of this because we're going to stick the scarf over it. But it looks cool. It looks like he's actually wearing a scarf. Okay. All right. Now, I'm going to just give a bit of detail with the black marker in the middle because that will match the black lines that I have on the other parts of the scarf. So just on the line here, and it makes it really stick out or highlights it a bit more like that. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick on his scarf pieces that I made earlier. And I'm just going to put a bit of glue on the top. So not the section that you've cut and slit. And I find when you're gluing small things, if you just take what you're trying to glue and rub it on the top of the glue, it's easier and a bit neater and less messy. So I've lots of glue on the top there. And I'm just going to pop that on to the scarf part that I've just drawn. Okay, like that. Okay. And I'm going to do the other one on top of it. Okay, so I'm going to do exactly the same thing. Just going to take my scarf parts, put lots of glue on the top of it here, like that. Take it off and just pop it on top of it. And it makes it look really 3D and sticks out like this. And it's really cool. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on to the body and I'm going to take my black marker and I'm going to give him some buttons. And I'm just going to lift up his scarf a little bit to do the buttons. And I'm just going to do them bits of coal as well. So black circles or black dots. Again, guys, you can do maybe buttons here if you want. You can give him clothes. It's up to you. Whatever you want to do on your snowman is absolutely fine. So you can see I gave him buttons and he's got a face and his scarf. I'm going to stick on his arms next. And I'm just going to do a little bit of glue on the end. Again, I'm just going to pop it on top of the glue stick and run it over it a little bit because it's easier to do. And I'm just going to pop his hands on the side here. Just going to stick it on like that. Don't stick it too close to the edge because the paper might wilt in the heat. So stick it maybe about halfway in, all right? So I'm going to do that again with my other arm. Just rub it over the top and I'm going to stick it on about halfway in. Okay, so it just sticks out at the edge like that. Okay, so it's like he's really stuck in here. All right, so it's looking cool already. I mean, if you didn't want to do a hat, that's fine. You don't need one, but I am going to do a hat. I'm just going to add the last thing to my hat, which is my holly. I'm just going to pop some glue on the holly. I'm going to do the same thing. Just rub it over the top and stick it onto the hat at the side because that's my design. That's the way I wanted to do it. And then what I'm going to do is glue on the bottom of the hat, okay? Now be careful with the glue because we don't want the middle of the hat to just disappear into the hat, okay? You could also put more glue on the top of your snowman up here, okay? Like that. And make sure it's shiny. Is it shiny? No, not shiny enough yet for the hat. Okay, now it's shiny. Okay, and I'm just going to pop the hat on like this. And just hold it. You can push on the rim of the hat a little bit more. You can pass it. I'm just going to put my fingers in here and hold the top of the hat and push it on like this. Now, if your hands are too small to do that, you can ask your mum or dad to help you with that, all right? And if you hold it there for a couple of seconds, it should stick. And then you end up with an awesome centerpiece snowman for your Christmas Day dinner. And here's one I made earlier. So we've got brothers. All right, they're twins. And that's it from me today. Make sure you log on and watch the other videos onto the Cork City Library website. I've had a really nice time. I hope you've enjoyed yourself. See you later and happy Christmas.